try this again. I hope it works this time that I can see you guys' comments because I always love your questions and your participation. That makes everything so much better. So, good morning again. Good afternoon again on Monday, I mean. I hope you're having a fantastic start to your week. Today, we're going to talk about your brain and your thoughts and how powerful they are. And the question is, are you using them or are they using you? So, in this conversation, the your point of power is in you. Hi, Christina. So glad I can see you this time. Hello, Rachel. Good to see you too. So, we're going to talk about how powerful our thoughts and our brain are. And I don't know about you, but I used to just think that whatever thoughts I thought, whatever randomly happened, whatever came into my thought process, that just was what it was. Hi, Victoria. Great to see you here. I had no idea that my thoughts were creating my reality, that all those times I would spend having random conversation and watching things that I didn't really enjoy on TV, that all those things actually affected the quality of my life and what I was bringing into my life. And I didn't know that we can, so many times when we're struggling, like here we are in June, where are we at with what we want, our visualization for the year, our goals, and our heartfelt wishes. And when I evaluate that, if I'm not where I want to be, there are some underlying beliefs that I am maybe not recognizing that are, because my brain is powerful, my beliefs and my thoughts are powerful. That's what's holding me back. It's not outside things. So we tend to think, well, this school won't accept me, or I can't get this loan, and we get hyper focused on one thing, and then we're either mad at that thing because it won't work, or just give up and don't believe it can happen for us. And if we could just step back and say, you know what, I know this is for me, and I know the universe has a way for it to happen, God, the universe, and I'm just going to trust that if I believe it, it can unfold in a different way. Or ask specifically, say, hey, I really want to be an accountant, or I really want to get into this school, or I really want to buy this house or buy this car. And I just am opening it up for you to show me how to do that. And if you find that you're not believing it can happen, then there's a little tweaking. Sometimes I go back to my childhood and realize, we had plenty, but the conversation was always around not having enough. And there a lot what not there was some roller coaster to it. We either were doing well, or things were really tight, money didn't grow on trees. And I realized that I've mirrored that part of my life, until I began to realize, oh, that's where that came from. And then I can start to walk myself to different beliefs. These were just like hidden beliefs that I didn't realize were there, that are affecting my ability for things to be easier, to be more successful, um, business wise, simply by adopting some new beliefs, trusting that things are always working out, and that money can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. Because I was taught that it was hard and that you had to work really hard to have anything. And so these little underlying things can be things that you're not realizing are making it harder for you to get where you want to go. And that includes in every area, whether it's friendships or, I've said, oh, you know what? I've reached a new season in my life and I need new friends, maybe new friends to go on walks with, or new friends to hang out with, because your friendships change as your life changes. Maybe it's a job change, or your kids graduated high school and parents went different directions. Christina says, how do you recognize when there's a belief that may be limiting you? The first thing is there something you want that's not coming easy? Right? If you know whether that's a house, or a job, or particular job, or a career, or um, certain friends, or a partner, if those things are not coming easy, you realize immediately, if they're just not flowing into your experience, you have a belief that's holding them back. Because God, the universe, is never punishing you. Never. Are there lessons that you get to learn? Yes. Is stuff being held back for you to learn a lesson? No, we're holding ourselves back. We're blocking it with beliefs and thoughts. Sometimes it's not beliefs, Well, thoughts that you keep thinking become beliefs. But sometimes you're just randomly going off down these negative thought pathways, and they're detracting you, making your pathway really slow to get where you want to go. And so when you find that, you know, think about what, if something's not coming easily, then yeah, you need to start thinking about, what am I thinking? Because if I'm, you want to recognize, I'm telling, oh, this is going to be really hard. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I'm telling myself this is going to be really hard. So it is, if I tell myself it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard. That's how powerful your brain is and your thoughts are. And so sometimes we don't realize we're telling ourselves that, or somebody else is telling us that, and we're taking it in and accepting it and regurgitating it, when we could choose to regurgitate something different. Look for people that are going to tell you it's easy. Look for people that'll show you a pathway that makes it easier. Um, that's and a lot of times we make it hard because we just don't trust and believe that it can unfold easily. And some of that can be because we've always been taught it has to be hard. You have to work hard. It can't come easy. But it really can. That's the fun part, is realizing that we can change our thoughts and beliefs, and we can start to believe, you know, the next right thing is coming. It's, and start to tell yourself that. Like, make a point of saying, you know, I know the next thing's coming and it's going to work out just right, and I know that the right things are always coming for me. You can also tell yourself, there are hard things that come up that happen so that the next thing can be easier. And once I really started getting the hang of that in my business, it changed everything. When something hard would happen, like sometimes you have this vision for this growth and this beautiful thing to happen in your business or wherever. Maybe you're imagining doing things like more joyfully and more positive. Well, sometimes you have a really negative friend that has to fall away, or a, a really negative employee, or who's suction a few people, and the reason that you've had a little struggle getting where you're going is they're continually stirring the pot, and they have to fall out. Like, the more your positive belief, you may be like lose, you know, a certain percentage of your employees, and it feels bad. But if you say, you know what, it's always working out for the best for me, I know this is going to turn into something better than I could even imagine, that this had to happen for the next thing to come. And you start to really tell yourself that, and understand that the universe really does work that way. Look around and see it happening in other people's life. Look for people who are positive that you can see it in, so that you start to become aware. Oh, okay, because if I can believe that, the next easier. If something like that happens and you tell yourself this is going to be hard, I'm, yay, Kimberly, and yes, negative partners that need, yes, so you focus on finding, so if you have negative partners that need to fall away, if you focus on that, it's hard to make it happen. If you focus on the best parts of them and focus on the positive aspects and what you're looking for in positive partners moving forward, that will help. Because if you're in the negative space with them because they're making you feel negative, then that separation is hard. And when you're able to find ways to focus on the positive, and you may have to tell yourself, like, ahead of time in the morning, especially if you see them on a daily basis, write down all the positives. If it's 3 things and you have to repeat it 20 times, if it's 1 thing and you have to repeat it, walk in the door thinking about that one positive thing, and then you have a conversation with them. And because of the past negativity that's continued, you know, you immediately feel negative. You walk away and you go back to that one thing and you tell yourself that one thing, and you just continue to practice this. I did that, and it was crazy how I started to be better at it. I started to be able to handle it better at work. I started to be able to have a better conversation with that person that I previously had very negative conversations with. um, because my goal was, I understand now that if I want this to go in a really good way, I have to focus on the positive. I have to change my thoughts. And that doesn't mean that negative partner is going to turn into an amazing partner. But if you think about their positive characteristics, and then you imagine what you want for the other positive characteristics in a partner, and you focus on the positive, and when you're around that person, you try to focus on the whatever small amount of positive you can find in that person, because you'll draw out more of their positive. You'll draw out more of their positive aspects to interact with you, which helps change the trajectory of what's coming next. Yes. And when we start realizing that we get to be in charge of that, we get to choose that. It's a opportunity, it's a choice. And is it's work at first because you've got these ruts in your brain and in your mind, and your brain will go on autopilot. So the second they say something that you already have decided you don't like and you're used to hearing, your brain goes down that same pathway. And so the conversation is like a repeated conversation in a lot of ways. So now you're wanting to work at creating new ruts, better ruts. And it doesn't mean sometimes we think, well, if we do that, are we going to partner with them forever? No, we just want to draw out the best parts of them right now. And in doing so, we're going to attract more positive people and more opportunities. And then we don't know whether we're going to end up in a totally different, like they'll buy out our part and we'll end up in another positive business, or we can focus on the most positive aspects of any part of it possible, and we'll start to have ideas as we focus on the positive instead of the negative. Ideas will start to come to us because we're connected. See, when we're in a positive space, when we're focused on looking for the positive and believing in the positive and trusting that it's positively going to work out for us, because that's what God, the universe, intends for all of us, we're connected. In that connection, ideas and inspirations will come for beautiful things to work out in different ways. Something you've never even thought of may come and be the best idea you've ever had, but it won't come when you're focusing on the negative aspects and struggling with the negative aspects. It will come when you're focused on any positive thing you can find in that other person, in the business, maybe in what the business gained for you in the past. Focus on, when I was in the process of selling my practice, it was kind of long and drawn out, and it felt like an albatross. It felt like a weight keeping me from where I was supposed to be going next. But I realized that's what's holding this up. So one morning I took my coffee and a book and a notebook, and I went outside and I wrote every positive thing that the clinic had given me through the years, everything I had gained from having that. And I literally got my offer for the clinic that afternoon, after I sat down and spent, I don't know, an hour and a half writing down I released the negative, and immediately, and you may have to do that longer than that. I had done other work and then realized that was a holdup. But if you focus on knowing that if you change your perspective and you get yourself in a positive place, and this is true, if you routinely have a coworker that is very negative and you feel obligated to carry on those negative conversations, it affects other aspects of your work, and it comes home with you and affects your personal life. And so that's why it's important to find ways to look for the positive in them, look for the most positive aspects. And when there's an opportunity to avoid a negative conversation, avoid it respectfully, kindly. But if you can veer off and go somewhere else, and you see that the topic around the water cooler doesn't look positive, if you come up on a conversation and people are talking negatively about somebody, you can decide whether you think you can try to change the conversation. But if you pop something out there and it's not changing anything, you just need to leave. Because if you're staying, even if you say nothing, you're participating. And the point of that is that affects you. It affects what you attract. It affects the vibe that you're in. And an easy way to think about that is, if you're in a great mood, having a great day, and you see someone that you is clear is having a bad day, and maybe it's somebody usually has a bad day, or it's all I'm saying is 15 feet away that if you walk up to that person, it's going to bring down your day. And so you choose to do something different because you want to stay in that happy, wonderful place that you're in. Well, that's how the whole universe works. So when you are thinking negative, you can attract car wrecks, you can attract all kinds of things by allowing yourself to often stay in a negative space for whatever reason. Zoe says, "Hi, Zoe, good to see you." That's a great point. Even if you're not persistent, yes, exactly. And that's important from how you feel, because it took me a long time to really understand that. And, I had a close family member that was very negative and would talk negative about other people in the family. And I stopped participating, as in having the conversation, but I was still on the phone listening. And I would hang up the phone and I would feel exhausted and drained and discouraged. And that is the point. That's what you feel like, whether you acknowledge it or not. And you are attracting, you're not connected to your most powerful self when you're in that point. You're not connected to the ideas and the joyful things that come when you stay in a more positive space and you look for the best in other people and you look for the best in any situation. That's how you stay connected, and ideas and you feel more joyful, but also ideas come and trust and belief comes because things unfold for you from that space so much better. And um and so we're unintentionally blocking things when we participate in negativity, and that includes watching any program that makes you feel bad. Somebody else may not feel bad when they watch that. I was talking earlier today, some people enjoy, really get a thrill and a joy out of watching scary movies, and it's like a game to them and figuring it out. And if that's the way they feel, scary movies aren't bad for them. But if you're like me and scary movies create a visceral reaction in your body and create dreams that are not positive, then they're not for you. And the whole goal is really acknowledging how you feel and changing where you are or what you're doing to help yourself feel better, so that because your thoughts and your how you feel is a great thermometer, barometer of your thoughts and what your thoughts are doing to your body. And if you allow a lot of negativity in, don't be surprised when you also have a lot of illnesses, because it's not good for the cells of your body to be in that negative space, to be holding things in, whether you're speaking of them or not. Christina said, I didn't realize for years how much the tone of shows and movies were affecting me. Yes. And other people are okay with it, and they want you to be okay with it. And you've just got to do what works for you. Christina says, when there's a lot of betrayal and conflict and tension, yes, and it affects your dreams. And dreams are a really big part of what's creating your reality, your brain when it's asleep. So it's important to feed it positive stuff and good stuff and things that feel good, so that your dreams are positive and exciting and not negative and, like forecasting negative things. And the good thing about it, if you wake up from a dream, a negative dream, if you recognize it, this is awesome, because you have the dream is before the reality. You have time to work on your positive space, to work on changing your thoughts, to work on appreciation, because that's a great way to get yourself in a more positive space, is to find things to appreciate about the people, about the places, about the activities, the work. Find the things to focus on that are positive and appreciate, so that you can attract more of that. When you're looking for a new job because you don't like your current job, you're not going to find a better job if you're spending all of your time thinking about all the negative aspects of your current employment. You've got to focus on, what do I want? What do I visualize? What is beautiful and perfect and lovely? And then focus on every positive aspect you can find in the place that you are, because you want to keep yourself in the most positive place to attract the job that you really want. And it's otherwise you're going to get part two, just a different scenario, a different maybe location, and the same thing that you had before. This is also true in relationships. If you leave a relationship that's not working and you're focused on what your partner wasn't doing right, how they weren't the right person, every negative aspect, you're going to attract the same thing again. And I don't know, you can look around and see that people that have done that, right? Oh my gosh, it seems like it's very similar. It may start out different, but then when you get down to the brass tack, it's the same negativity or the same need. I used to be a person that felt like I needed to be okay. That validated who I was, which meant I attracted people that they'll take all the energy you've got and more, and you're never enough. And so it was not a good space to be in. And I didn't know that I was doing that to myself. And the waking up and realizing that I can choose to think differently, that I can choose to operate in a different space, that I am 100% responsible for me, and I am not responsible for anyone else. I'm not responsible for other people's feelings. I'm only responsible for mine, that's powerful because you can't be somebody else's connection to God source energy. It's not possible. And but there are people that want to make you be that. And if you have been led to believe that you're responsible for other people's actions, or your confidence comes from being able to help others, helping others, when you really have that energy that never ends to help other people, is when you realize that you're just here to give whatever you're supposed to give. Like, you let it flow through you, and how other people take it is not your responsibility. And I don't mean that like you can say mean things and don't. I mean, when you're giving the positive, the kind, the offerings, everyone gets to pick out of it what works for them, right? Like, when I do this, however, I hope every single person gets at least something out of it to take away that's useful. That's why I do it. But what you get and how you use it isn't really any of my business unless you choose to say so, right? It's not a I'm not in control of anybody. I'm just here to offer things that I know have helped me change my life and I know have been extremely beneficial, and that's what I want to give back. And then how you use it, I know that God, universe will bring you so many other opportunities to learn. Like, it's not just me. And so it's just my part to do my part. And if each of us does our part, how beautiful the world gets to be, right? If we're able to focus more on the positivity in others and focus on positive for ourselves so that we can create an amazing life and have things unfold in the easier. And, you know, the less I have, the less I believe in it, the harder it is for me to get there because I don't believe it's easy, the less I have to give back. So the more that I'm able to allow in easy and trust and belief that things are working out and looking for the best parts of things, the more I have to give to others, and the more my life unfolds in a way that is can help others. And that, I only can give as much as I allow myself to receive. And that's a really important thing to understand. If I'm afraid to receive, or I don't believe I'm worthy of receiving, I don't have it to give. And so if I want to give, I have to be willing to trust and believe that I'm worthy and that I know I'm supposed to give. And so I need to receive as well. So I hope this gives you some powerful tools to start activating your brain in a more powerful way, to start seeing when your negative thoughts or when you have a belief that's holding you back. I have a reframe game that we can drop in here. It's free. And it is like a PDF that really helps you start to reframe some of those. You start recognizing that you have negative thoughts or negative beliefs, or you're talking to yourself in a negative way, and it will help open you up to how to softly change some of these thought processes for yourself that are ingrained, so that you can open up to believing bigger for yourself and creating a life that's easier. And you're so worthy of it. Everyone is worthy of it. And that's why we do these lives. And that's why we have How to Build an Extraordinary Life. Because what you have to give back is predicated on what you allow in, and what you receive, and how you think, and what you're actually thinking. And you have more control than you have any idea. That's the beauty. And your whole life, you're going to recognize, oh, wait, I created that. Oh, wait, I chose that. But the beautiful thing is, when you can get to that point, then you can start to choose something different instead of being on autopilot, as we say, and not even realizing that you could choose something different. I hope you guys have a magnificent rest of your Monday, and I hope to see you again soon. We'll be back next week. Actually, next week, I think we're going to talk about money, because how our thoughts are around money and what we're creating is a powerful indicator of what our underlying beliefs are. And getting to choose differently once we recognize that is a lot of fun. And we can turn it into a game that creates so much magic in our lives. Because again, just like we have a hard time receiving money, we don't have it to give if we don't receive it, right? Let's give it back to the universe. Let's receive it in so we can share it and give and live a life that allows us to serve in the biggest ways possible and show up for others as well as for ourselves in the most magical ways. Have a fantastic rest of your Monday and a really fantastic week. See you guys next week.